Hope you are good. You're doing great. It's good to see you again. Welcome to the online class. Today we are going to discuss about interrupts. Okay. So I'm sure you know that exactly what mean interrupts, but still we need to see what is exactly how the interrupts are occurred and how the interrupts are operated. Okay. So let's start. Now, why interrupts are used? So generally interrupts are used to uh, interrupts are used to execute a program which is highest priority than your main program. Okay, now this is your main program. On the left side you can see, and the right side we can see there is your ISR. Okay, ISR, not YSR, it is ISR. It is called interrupt service routine. Right now, this is also one program, and this is also your program, main program and interrupt service routine. This is nothing but another program. Now, if you want to execute this program, okay, during the execution of your main program, okay, this is the highest priority. This is my interrupt program. This is the highest priority. Now I want to execute this program, ISR. Okay, what I need to do? I need to generate an interrupt. Okay, so I will interrupt the processor. So what the processor will do? It will just pass the main program and go to the ISR and execute the program. Again, come back to your main program where it is stopped. Okay. Now assume that in this our main program consists of 12 instructions. Okay. Now the program is executing. The main program is executing, right? Now during the instruction 3, execution of the instruction 3, an interrupt is occurred. Okay. Now whenever the interrupt is occurred, what will happen? So it will pause the main program. The processor pause the main program, not suspending, pause. Okay. Temporarily it is pausing that main program. So it will go to the ISR, which is your interrupt service routine. Again, interrupt service routine is also nothing but your a program. Now after going to this ISR, it will execute these instructions. After that, it will come back to your main program where it is paused. Okay, from the next line onwards, it will start executing your main program. So this is your how your interrupt processing will occurs in your processors or your microcontrollers. Okay, now if you know that our 8051 controller, I mean 8051 microcontroller consists of total 5 interrupts. What are those 5 interrupts? 3 internal interrupts and 2 external interrupts. Okay, no, you already know this 2 external interrupts and 3 internal interrupts. Already we have discussed this thing, right? Now we will see how many of you are remember this interrupts, 5 interrupts. Okay. Now you see this diagram. This is your microcontroller, which consists of your processor, RAM and ROM, and timers, 2 timers, and serial port and IO ports, 4 IO ports, 4 parallel IO ports. And among these things, we are having total 5 interrupts. 3 is internal and 2 is external. What are those 2 external interrupts? INT0 and INT1. So you know this whenever if you want to interrupt your microcontroller from externally, so externally you can able to interrupt with this 2 external interrupts. Okay, INT0 and INT1. Now remaining 3 are nothing but your one is timer 0 interrupt and timer 1 interrupt. So timer 0 interrupt and timer 1 interrupt. Why there are 2 interrupts? Because we are having 2 different timers, 2 independent timers, 16-bit timers, timer 0 and timer 1. So that's why we are having 2 independent interrupts for timers, 2 interrupts. So total becomes 4. Now coming to the serial port. For serial port, there is only 1 interrupt. So that becomes your total 5 interrupts. 3 internal, which is timer, 2 timer interrupts and 1 serial interrupt. And the remaining 2 external interrupts is INT0 and INT1, right? Now, what is exactly timer interrupts? When the timer will generate interrupts? Whenever the timer overflows. Now, what is the need of timer? So, timer is used to generate the delay. How it will generate the delay? It requires clock pulses. So, whenever if you give the clock pulses, it will keep on counting the clock pulses. Okay. So, what will happen if suppose if it is a 2-bit timer? What is the maximum value it can count? Up to 1 1. So, after 1 1, if you try to give the another clock pulse, what will happen? It will generate the overflow interrupt. Okay, this is called a timer overflow interrupt. So how many timers we are having? 2 different timers. So timer 0 and timer 1. That means that timer 0 can generate timer 0 overflow interrupt. The timer 1 can generate timer 1 overflow interrupt, right? So if you try to give another clock pulse, this is a maximum count of your 2-bit timer. Okay, so if you try to give the another clock pulse, what will happen? It will generate the overflow interrupt and it will start again from 0 0 onwards. Okay, I'm sure you know this one, right? So timer will restarts its counting. So whenever the timer overflows, it will generate the interrupt. So this is we want to know about this point. And the next one is your serial port interrupt. So yeah, I'm sure you know the serial port. Why we are using serial port? For the serial communication. What is serial communication? Whenever if you want to transfer the bit information bit by bit. Why you want to transfer the data bit by bit? Because you want to send the information for long distance. For long distance, why I am sending bit by bit? Because I am using the single wire. So what happens if I use a single wire? Because it becomes cost effective and also it is easy to maintain. So that's why we are using the serial port to communicate your serial port to transfer the data for your serial communication. Okay. Now, whenever if I am saying data transmission, there will be a transmission as well as a reception also. Okay. Now the microprocessor is your, 8051 microcontroller is nothing but 8-bit microcontroller, which is having 8-bit processor in it. And this 8-bit processor can able to directly perform operations on 8-bit numbers, which means it can directly send 8 bits at a time. But what is serial communication? 1 bit at a time. So that's why to avoid this problem, we are having SBUFs. So for transmission and reception. So for every bytes of transfer by the SBUF, SBUF is 8-bit register. So every bytes transmission, that means 8 bits. Every 8 bits of information is transferred from this SBUF. It will generate the interrupt to your processor. Okay, which is called transmission interrupt. It is telling that processor, you idiot processor, please give me the another byte of data you want to transfer. Okay. Similarly, coming to the reception SBUF. So reception SBUF also will receive the data one bit at a time, and it will tell the processor, I have once it is received the 8 bits, that means your full 1 byte. It will tell the processor, now you can take that my data from my SBUF and you can able to enjoy with that. And I will start the next byte reception. Okay, with the help of one signal called reception interrupt or receiver interrupt. Okay, so that's why the serial port has actually 2 interrupts. Okay, but we are telling that serial port has only common interrupt, that is serial port interrupt, which is common for your RI and TI. Okay, we are not taking separate interrupts for the serial port. Remember this point. The next one is I think we have seen INT0 and INT1, which is your external interrupt 0 and external interrupt 1. Okay, now you see here, I told you there are total 5 interrupts, 3 internal and 3 external. And you can see there is 2 external interrupts, INT0 and INT1, and the remaining 3 interrupts are timer 0 overflow interrupt, timer 1 overflow interrupt, and the last one is serial port interrupt. Just now I told you, we are taking the serial port interrupt as a common for RI and TI. We are not taking separately. So that means it is the 2 interrupts are given for the OR gate, which means you can able to generate only 1 interrupt at a time. Okay, so there is your serial port interrupt. And coming to this interrupts, all the 5 interrupts are called in 8051 microcontroller. All the 5 interrupts are called vectored interrupts. What is meant by vector? Vector is nothing but the address of the interrupt. So in your BCom physics, you can say that vector is nothing but which is having both magnitude and direction, but it is not. But here, coming to your 8051 microcontroller concept in the point of view, so vector means it is nothing but the address of an interrupt. So if you take the 5 interrupts, each and every interrupts has addresses. Okay, and you will ask me a question, sir, why can't you write INT0, INT1 and some parallelly, side by side or sequentially? Why you have written INT0 there and INT1 there, timer 0 overflow interrupt there and timer 1 overflow interrupt there? Why? Because there is a reason for that. Okay, now what is the address for the INT0? This is 0003H. Okay, for timer 0 overflow interrupt 000B. Okay, and for the INT1 13 1B and 23. Okay, and so on. And this is the addresses of your interrupt, which is called vectored interrupts. Okay, now we are going to see how the exactly interrupts will occur with your real-time example. Okay, so I'm sure you are having your mobile phone. I'm sure everybody has, and in that we are having a social media app like your Facebook. And during your once you open your Facebook, okay, and you are searching something. Okay, you are seeing something. You are seeing one video or you are reading one news article or news feed of your Facebook, etc. Okay, suddenly you got a new message, okay, from someone, okay, which you are interested in. Okay, I'm sure I will leave it to your imagination who is that person. Okay, now you got a message from that person. Okay, now you are building a conversation with that person. Okay, and you are building that conversation in the form of text messages. You can able to chat with your Facebook Messenger, I'm sure what is that person means I will give to your imagination. I don't want to discuss about that. Now what will happen? So once you are building the conversation, suddenly you got the call from that person. Okay, the same person which you are chatting. So what you done is you have saved that person's number in the with the name called house, because if you are in a hostel or room, nobody can able to doubt you, right? So who is that person or someone, right? So that's why you are named that person as house. Okay, now you tell me your Facebook Messenger. Okay, your Facebook is nothing but your main program. Okay, now you got a call. Okay, will you able to end the call, or you can able to accept the call? That means decline the call or accept the call. Obviously you will accept the call, right? So which is called your interrupt. Okay, now whenever if you accept the call, what you will do, you will talk for some time. How much time? It I will leave to your imagination again. Okay, so after talking for some time, okay, again you will end that call. Okay, there is end button, you can end the call. Now after ending the call, what will happen? The same messenger page where in which you are chatting, the same page you are going to appear here. Now what is happened exactly here? Okay, now this is your Facebook, I mean Facebook Messenger is your main program, and your call is nothing but your interrupt. Okay, now which is the highest priority, your Facebook Messenger or call? Call is obviously the highest priority, right? Now during the instruction executions, so I'm sure you know that if Facebook Messenger or any Facebook is nothing but one app is application software means set of programs are nothing but your set of instructions. So your program has set of instructions. During the execution of your instruction, that means when you are charting, okay, at the instruction 3, then interrupt is occurred. Okay, now I told you every time when I'm discussing about interrupts in the serial communication or timers, etc., in any manner, I told you whenever an interrupt occurs, automatically a interrupt flag will be set to 1. So I'm repeating this point again. Whenever the interrupt is occurred, automatically a interrupt flag should be equals to 1. Okay, now the processor will see this interrupt flag. Okay, if it is 1, that means it is assumed that the interrupt is occurred. Okay, now what happens if the interrupt is occurred? Now the processor wants to execute the interrupt service routine, that is your call. Now you want to attempt the call. Okay, now the processor what it will do is it will go to that ISR, execute this program and come back here, right? Now you are having how many interrupts? Total 5 interrupts. So I told you the RI and TA is common, so that means we are taking only 5 interrupts. Okay, which means any 5 interrupts, any of these 5 interrupts can able to interrupt your program. Yes or no? Just like your contact numbers in your mobile phone. In your mobile phone, you are having some 2,500 contacts, maybe more or maybe less. Okay. Now, during your chatting, anybody can able to interrupt you, right? So in your contact, you are having contact numbers of your mobile phone. Anybody can able to interrupt you, right? Similarly, here also we are having multiple interrupts. Okay, which means any interrupt can able to interrupt this program, your main program, right? Now once the interrupt is occurred, which means interrupt flag is equals to 1, and it will go to the processor, will go to the ISR. Before going to the ISR, what it needs to do is the processor has to make interrupt flag 0. Why? Because whenever the interrupt flag is still 1 during the interrupt processing, again the processor will see the interrupt flag is 1, which means again interrupt is occurred, which means it is executing this program again and again, which makes your infinite loop. Okay, that's why every time whenever you are processing the interrupt request, okay, during the execution of your interrupt, before going that, you just make your interrupt flag will be 0. So you don't need to do that manually, but automatically the processor will make that interrupt flag is equals to 0. Okay, I understood, right? Suppose when you are calling, to give you more example for this one, whenever you are in a talking, so whenever you are conversation with your dearest friend, okay, and suddenly another person will call you, right? So during the another person, you can able to hear you the sound, someone is calling you, right? So suppose that person has ended that call, which means you can able to see the notification of the missed call, right? So if you see the notification of the missed call, which means there is another person wants to talk to you, right? It is phone is reminding you that other person is wants to talk to you. Okay, so after that, after seeing that notification, again you will service that person, you will call to that person, right? Yes or no? Similarly, whenever 2 or 3 more interrupts are occurred at the simultaneously, okay, at the same time, now it will the interrupt will we can able to do only one interrupt at a time. What about the remaining 2 interrupts? remaining 2 interrupts also should be done. Okay, how the processor will know that how I need to service those 2 interrupts also by looking at the interrupt flag is equals to 1. So whenever the interrupt flag is 1, so it will see that the interrupt is not processed. So that's why for every time whenever interrupt is generated, interrupt flag should be 1. Whenever during the interrupt processing, you need to make interrupt flag is equals to 0. Okay, and here you remember this one, all these 4 interrupts, which is your timer 0 overflow interrupt, timer 1 overflow interrupt, external interrupt 0 and external interrupt 1, all these interrupt flags will be cleared automatically by the processor except serial port interrupt, which is RI and TI. So I will explain why it is not cleared automatically by the processor later. Now we will see the concentration. We will put our concentration on this topic. Okay, here. Now interrupt is occurred, which is interrupt flag is becomes 1. Now it will go to the ISR. While going to the ISR, interrupt flag will be 0, and it will execute these instructions, all the instructions of your ISR, that is your program. And after that, it will come back to your next instruction to be executed, right? Now I'm having a question for you. Now whenever you are reading that news article or you are looking at one image in the Facebook, suddenly you got a call. Okay, you will talk for some time and you will end the call, and you can see the same page which you are looking previously. How the processor is knowing that I need to show the same page to you? Okay, so that's where comes to your another deep level of this interrupt processing. I will explain you. Now this is your main program. This is your ISR. This is nothing but a main program is nothing but Messenger or your Facebook application, and ISR is nothing but your calling screen. Okay, now whenever during the instruction execution, okay, processor uses one important register. What is the name of the important register for every instruction execution? Which is called program counter. I am sure you know this. Program counter will store the address of the next instruction to be executed. Now here in this example, during the instruction 3, the interrupt is occurred. Okay, that means interrupt flag becomes 1. Now tell me what will be the contents of your PC? What will be the address of the PC? So during the execution of the instruction 3, I got the interrupt. So what will be the value of the PC? Which means the address of the instruction 4 should be there in the PC. Why? Because I already told you the program counter will always store the next instruction to be executed. During the instruction 3, the address of the instruction 4 should be there in your program counter, because the processor will know that which instruction I need to fetch next, I need to decode next, I need to execute next, right? Because of this PC program counter. Okay, so the program counter will store the address of the instruction 4 now. Now take an example. You are having instructions. I'm sure instructions are stored inside your memory location. In memory location, you want to fetch the instruction, you require addresses, right? For your main program, the starting address is 02001. So please tell me, did you understood this? So every instruction has its address, right? Because it is stored inside your memory location. Whenever if you want to get the instruction from the memory, you need to have its address. Okay, now each and every instruction will occupy 1 byte of instructions. Okay, I take an example here. So each and every instruction size is 1 byte. Now the address is for each and every instruction is 2001, 2002 up to 2012. So we are having 12 instructions, so the address becomes up to 2012. Now coming to the ISR. Now ISR, the starting address is 0023 and 0024 up to 0029, because we are having total 7 instructions there. Okay, now during the execution of the instruction 3, what will be the value of the PC? 2004. Why? Because the instruction 4 addresses has to be stored inside your PC. Now why I'm discussing this one? Because when the processor has to know, I want to show you the same Facebook page which you are seeing earlier after execution of the call. Okay, now what we need to do is, you need to store the current state of your program. Why you need to store the current state? Because if you save the current state of your program somewhere and you go to the instruction service routine, execute that program, after coming back to the program, you will restore that state. Whatever the program is executing, the main program is executing at that particular point, you need to restore that state from this particular point. Okay, so that's why you need to store the current state of the main program before execution of your interrupt program, right? How you will store the current state? Current state means your PC. Your PC is nothing but your current state. Now the PC will be stored inside your stack memory. There comes the part of stack memory. What is meant by stack memory? It is a temporary memory which will follows last in first out principle. Now whenever if I want to store these addresses in the stack memory, what will happen? In which address locations it will store? It will take the top 2 address locations. Why top 2? Because the stack memory size is 8-bit. Each and every byte is 8-bit. I mean location size is 8-bit. Now address is 16-bit. That's why the higher order address is stored inside 20 and the lower order is nothing but your 04 will be stored in your next byte. Okay, that's why that always the stack pointer pointers the topmost memory location, that is called highest address. That's why higher byte of the address is stored in the highest address and the next lower byte of the address is stored inside your least address of your stack memory. Okay, now you store the current state. Now if I want to execute this program, again what you need to do, you need to load these addresses of this instruction inside your PC. Okay, understood, right? Why? Because I want to execute this program. Whenever if you want to execute the program, I need PC. Now what I need to do, 0023 has to be loaded inside your PC. Why? Because I want to execute the instruction service routine. So before that, what I am doing, I am storing the current state of your main program. The current state is nothing but your 2004, where I want to execute the program from the next instruction, right? Now the 0023 is loaded into your program counter, which means the microprocessor, your microcontroller will go to the ISR. Now it will start executing. So before going to the ISR, the interrupt flag becomes 0. Okay, now it will keep on executing this instruction. Now once it is finished, okay, again it has to return to the main program. Now who will write this ISR? Programmers. Programmers means who? You and me. Okay, whenever you are writing the interrupt service routine ISR, you need to use one instruction at the end of ISR. Every ISR should use the interrupt instruction, one instruction called RETI. What is it? RETI means return from interrupt. So this instruction, what it is telling is, I am returning from the interrupt. It is telling that processor politely, processor, I am returning from the interrupt. Now you can start. I thank you for pausing the main program for me. Now you can able to start the main program because I am finished my interrupt service routine program. Now I am returning from the interrupt. So it will tell the processor politely this instruction. And there is another instruction to make you confused. There is another instruction called RET, which is called return. What is the difference between this instruction and this instruction? Please tell me there is an I between this one. Okay, so this instruction will able to tell you that return from the interrupt, and it is telling just return. When you will use this return instruction, whenever you are calling subroutine. So if you know the higher level languages like Python, C, Java, etc., I'm sure you know this. In that we are having functions. Okay, that functions, how when you will call the functions, when the function will be executed, whenever if you call the function explicitly by you. So that means programmer will call the function, right? So at the end of the function, you will write the return statement, return 0 or return 1, whenever it is an integer return, etc. Okay, during that time you are using this return instruction. So that functions we are calling in the 8051 microcontroller assembly level programming, we are calling it as subroutines. Okay, functions is also known as subroutines. So during the execution of the subroutines, at the end of the subroutine, we need to write the instruction called RET. Okay, now coming to the ISR. ISR is also just like subroutine, but it is different. When the function will be executed, whenever if you call the function, when the instruction service routine will be executed, whenever the interrupt is generated. When the interrupt is generated, because the internal peripherals like timers or serial port will be generate the interrupts. Okay, whenever the interrupt is generated, then the ISR will executed. When the subroutine will be executed, whenever if you call the subroutine. So during the subroutine calls, I will use this return instruction. During the interrupt service routine, I will use the return from interrupt instruction. Okay, now this instruction also tells the processor, please restore your previous state. Okay, now where is the previous state of your main program, which is present in the stack, which means I need to load this instruction, I mean load these addresses from the stack and store into the PC, right? Why? Because I need to execute the instruction from the instruction floor of your main program. Why? Again, why? Because during the instruction 3 I have paused the main program. From the instruction 4 I need to execute. This is nothing but your how your exactly Facebook or Facebook Messenger will work. So whenever Facebook app will work, whenever if you see your Facebook, suddenly you got a call, you are seeing some page in your Facebook, and suddenly you got a call. After ending that call, you can see the same Facebook page. Okay, same Facebook photo or video, whatever you can see. Okay, which means it is restoring the previous state of your main program. Understood, right? So how it will restore the previous state? It will read the data from your stack, which is nothing but your pop. So earlier we have do the push operation and we have done the pop operation. Now 2004 is loaded into the PC. What means if I load the 2004 in the PC, the processor will start executing from the instruction 4 onwards. Okay, why? Because the instruction 4 address is 2004. Okay, so this is how interrupts are processed exactly. And just like your timers, how to control the timers with the help of two registers called TCON and TMOD. How to control the serial port with the help of SCON, serial control register. And how to control interrupts, there is another two registers called interrupt enable register, another one is interrupt priority register. Okay, now if you take the interrupt enable register, which is bit addressable register, what is mean by bit addressable? Which means I can able to access the individual bits of this register. Okay, both are 8-bit registers, and we will see one by one of this each and every bit of these registers. Let's start with the interrupt enable register. The name itself indicates interrupt enable, so which means it can able to disable interrupt, we can able to enable the interrupt. So if you don't want to interrupt, we can just disable it. Now if you want interrupt, you can enable it. Okay, now if you take these two bits ex0 and exe1, which is called enable external interrupt 0, enable external interrupt 1. So whenever if you try to write 1 here, it will enable this interrupt. Whenever if you try write to 0, it will disable the interrupt. Same goes for the external interrupt 1 also. Now coming to the next bits, ET0, ET1 and ET2. Okay, now ET0 means enable timer 0 interrupt. I am sure you know that there are two timers. So timer 0 can able to generate timer 0 overflow interrupt. Similarly, for timer 1, we can able to generate timer 1 overflow interrupt. Now, in order to enable or disable these two timer overflow interrupts, I can able to use these two bits. Okay, the next one is just like your ET0 and ET1 and ET2. Okay, it is actually not in the, we are not able to discuss about this one because it is reserved bit. And when we are discussing this 8051 microcontroller, the 8051 microcontroller is developed in 1978. Okay, that is the first version which we are studying about that one. Okay, now during that time in the development of 1978 Intel 8051 microcontroller, they thought that the scientists, they thought that engineers, I can able to include some other another timer, that is timer 2. Now in future, if I want to enable or disable that timer, I will use this bit. Okay, right now we are not using this because we are discussing about the first version of your 8051 microcontroller. Okay, the next one is your enable serial port, so which is able to enable or disable the serial port. The last bit is your enable all. So I am sure you know this by reading this name. Enable all means it will enable all the interrupts. Okay, enable EA is equals to 0 means it will disable all the interrupts. Now if you take your mobile phone, so who will generate the interrupt during your Facebook operation or Instagram operation? Your friends. Okay, your friends or family, right? So how you will identify the friends or family? With the help of unique number called its phone number, his or her, right? Similarly, here also we are having 5 interrupts. Okay, so in order to enable all the interrupts, we can use this bit. Now in order to disable all the interrupts, we can able to use this bit. So similarly in your mobile phone, how to enable how to block the persons individually, how to block the persons at the same time. So just like if you take your airplane mode, so airplane mode you write, right? You know, right? So airplane mode is consists of on and off. So if you turn on the airplane mode, which means I am disabling the all the interrupts. Okay, whenever if I turn off this enable airplane mode, which means I am enabling the all the interrupts. Understood this much? So if you want, you can able to still individually enable these bits, or you can able to globally enable this one. Okay, next one is interrupt priority. So what is meant by interrupt priority? So each and every interrupt has its own priority. So actually we are having only 2 levels of priority. One is high level, another one is low level priority. Okay, whenever if you try to write to 1 to this particular bit, which becomes highest priority interrupt. Whenever if you try to 0, whenever if you try to write 0 to this particular pin, we can able to make that interrupt to low level. Okay, low priority level. Okay, the next bit is your PT2, which is reserved bit, which is actually for future timer is used. Future timer, this timer 2. And suppose if all the interrupts are occurred at the same time, which interrupt will process it first? Okay, to avoid this problem, we are giving some default priority to the interrupts. Okay, these are the whatever you are seeing right now here. This is called the default priority. Suppose interrupt 0, timer overflow flag 0, and your interrupt 1 occurred at the same time. You tell me which interrupt will service first. Obviously interrupt 0. Why? Because it is having the highest priority. Okay, now still you can able to make this to lower priority with the help of these bits. Okay, just now we have discussed right previously. So if you try to write to 0 becomes, it will remove that priority to that particular interrupt, and for the next interrupt it will give the highest priority. Okay, so this is how we are going to give the default priority to the interrupts. And coming to this addresses, I told you each and every interrupt has its addresses, that is called your vector. Okay, now why it is having 0 3 0b 1 3 1b through 3? Why? Because each and every address has 8 bits difference. 8 is difference. So okay, if you try to add 8 to it, you can able to get the next address. So don't need to by heart this one, right? So again, I can able to tell you into the deep why I am having only 003 00b 0013 etc, but it is not required right now. Okay, we are going to see what is what right now. Okay, so this is why I have taken 003 in the previous example, because I am using the serial port interrupt there. Okay, and this is the diagram for your interrupts. So if you look at this interrupt diagram, I am having 5 interrupts. So in this one I am having the common interrupt. So for R and NTI, this is your serial port interrupt. Now this is the individual bits. So if the interrupt is enabled, then only we can able to tell the processor the interrupt is occurred or not. Okay, this is called global enable, global disable. You know EA, right? EA bar, EA symbol, enable all. So this is a enable all. So if you try to enable all, so which will make the all the interrupts turn on. So if you disable this one, you cannot able to get this interrupts at all. Okay, and this is your IP register, which is priority, which is having highest priority and the lowest priority, which one you can able to switch between this highest priority and lowest priority. Okay, the next one is actually, this is not in the syllabus, but still I want to tell you about this one, power saving modes. Why? You tell me why we need power saving? Because whenever if you take your mobile phone, laptop, or any battery operated device like your remote control etc, okay, all these are operated in the batteries. Now if you try to save the power, which means we can able to use this device for long period of time, that is our obvious choice, right? So if you don't have enough power so it will be frustrated, right? So now coming to the 8051 microcontroller. So 8051 microcontroller consists of 2 power saving modes. One is ideal mode, another one is power down mode. Okay, in order to control the power saving features, we are having one register called PCON register, power control register, and which is SFR, special function register, and it is not bit addressable, which means we cannot access these register bits individually. Okay, now look at these bits. The first one is your ideal. So ideal and PD. So ideal means whenever if you try to one, it becomes your ideal mode. That means your microcontroller can able to enter into the ideal mode, and if it is 0, it will not enter into the ideal mode. And whenever the PD is equals to 1, that is your power down bit. Okay, whenever the power down bit is equals to 1, your 8051 microcontroller will enter into the power down mode. Okay, whenever it is 0, it will not enter, right? Now coming to your next 2 flags, GF. So please don't misunderstand me. This is actually general purpose flags. Okay, so if you are a programmer, you can use this general purpose flags for your purpose, for general purpose. Whatever you want to do with that flags, you can do it. Okay, the last bit of your PCON registry is S mode. Okay, S mode is nothing but serial mode control. I am sure you know that during the discussion of the serial port, I told you there is a baud rate formula. So baud rate is equals to 2 power S mod is by 32 into timer overflow frequency, where in mode 1 and mode 2 and mode 3 we are changing the baud rates with the help of these bits. Okay, we are doubling that baud rates with the help of this bit. Okay, why this bit is in the PCON? Because there is no sufficient storage space in the SCON register. Okay, in SCON register there is no bit left to store this bit. That's why we are made that bit to into S mod register, I mean PCON register. Okay, now we'll see the ideal mode. So ideal mode means, take an example, this is your mobile phone. This is a mobile phone during your lock stage. So whenever there is no operation is performing, so it will automatically into the lock state. Okay, so this is called power, I mean ideal mode. Ideal mode means just sleep mode. Okay, how you will wake up this mobile phone, that means how you will make it to the active mode, how will turn on the screen. Either you can touch on your device screen, or you can give some button. If you press that power button, you can able to unlock your screen. And if any call will come from call your friends or family, again you can able to wake your I will wake your mobile phone. Again, if some alarm will come, you can again wake your mobile phone, right? Understood why? How to make the processor to active mode from the sleep mode, which is from ideal mode, right? So that is called your ideal mode. With the help of, you can able to just press the buttons, you can able to make the calls, you can able to get the alarm, so which will make your mobile phone to active mode. Okay, now how you will see how exactly ideal mode works. So this is your crystal oscillator. Okay, during the sleep mode, what will happen? Sleep mode is nothing but your ideal mode. So during the ideal mode, what will happen is it will cut the frequency, clock frequency to the processor. Why? If you are, what happens if I cut that frequency to the processor means the processor will not do any new operation. Okay, whenever if you cut the clock frequency, processor will not do the new operation, but still we can give that clock sources to your interrupts, I mean your serial port timer. Why? Because whenever if you want to get the call, the antenna has to receive that call. Antenna is connected to the port, so the port has to give the clock frequency. Okay, timers, so alarm will be wake up that screen. So that means I need to clock frequency to the timers. So only for the CPU I will disable that clock frequency. For the remaining things I will enable the clock frequency. Okay, now whenever this bit is 1, I told you whenever this bit is 1, it becomes your ideal mode. Ideal mode means it will cut the clock frequency. Now see here, we are getting the clock here. Whenever this is 1 means active low signal, which becomes 0. Whenever this is 1 input is 0 to the AND gate, obviously this becomes your 0. The clock frequency will not get to your CPU, right? So whenever if the clock frequency is not got to the CPU will in the sleep mode. Okay, this is your ideal mode. Next, coming to your power down mode. So how to restore your, how to terminate from the ideal mode? Either you can able to press the button, that is your interrupt, or from the reset button. Reset button means like your power button. So with the help of this ideal mode, I can able to save up to 80% of the power. Okay. And coming to the next power down mode. Power down mode means just like your shutdown, powering off. So powering off means completely I will remove the clock frequency to your entire CPU. Okay, this is called your power down mode. Whenever the power down mode bit is 1, so it will cut all the clock frequency to all the peripherals. Okay, so this is called your power down mode. With this you can able to store save up to 99% of the power. Okay, so please turn on the appliances whenever if you don't need, so to save the energy as well as it will increase the lifetime. We can able to save money also. So thanks for your attention. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Thanks for joining the call.